What up, homies of the interwebs? This is lugnuts.guapo coming at you from Maverick, Harley-Davidson, and today we're going to be talking about the RoadKing special and the Heritage special. So on the right, obviously, Heritage special, and on the left, RoadKing special. Now, these two are quite different in price, and we're going to get more into that in a little bit. But in the meantime, roll the tape. Yeah. You thought I was gonna take the RoadKing. Admit it. I do love me some RoadKing. I really like RoadKing. So this is gonna be hard to be unbiased, impartial. Oh man. So RoadKing special, Heritage special. It's about a $3,000 difference, and they both come with security, they both come with ABS, and they both come with cruise control. That is a plus if you're going to take some longer trips. Indeed. So why would you even consider these two motorcycles to begin with? Well, you want the 114, obviously, because yeah, you want those stroke flywheels, because that's what the 114 Milwaukee 8 has. So what kind of riding are you going to do? Are you going to go really long trips, cross country, or just, you know, within the state? Or I mean, these are important questions that you need to ask yourself, and you will see why in a little bit. But seat height between the two is about an inch difference. Now, if you're someone short, then 1 inch might be a world of difference. For me, I'm about 6 foot. Not a big difference, to be quite honest. Excuse me. So seat height, to me, it doesn't bother me. I mean, I don't know what your stature is. Your stature, is that the right word? I don't know what height you are, so that's something that you need to take into consideration. The other thing is clearance between the two bikes. It's actually not that much different. It's 0.2 inches, literally. Like, the clearance is not, it might mean like from frame to ground, it's about 0.2 inches. And this is where on the top three, I would say, that make the biggest difference for me when it comes to these motorcycles, these two that we're talking about. Tank, 5 gallons on this baby, while on the RoadKing you're gonna get 6 gallons. That's quite a bit of miles extra. Hey, what up, homies? Hey, that's what's up. Forever two wheels, mean. Now let's move on. Here's the other big difference, is power to weight ratio. They both have the Milwaukee 8 114, as I stated earlier, but 100 pounds almost to the dot. 100, I think it's like 2 pounds around. I'm rounding down to 100 pounds, because the other extra pounds don't really, you know, they make big of a difference. But about almost 100, a little over 100 pounds difference in weight. This baby is almost it's over I don't know where my head's at right now, but this thing is over 100 pounds lighter. What does that mean? This thing would smoke the RoadKing on a 0 to 60. I mean, it just would, because it's 100 pounds lighter. So that's the second largest distinction between the two. And I'm gonna skip number 3 for the end, because I think that is the thing that makes this bike, in comparison to the RoadKing, I don't even know what I'm trying to say right now. Between these two bikes, I feel like that last thing that I have in mind is what makes or breaks your decision. Maybe I think that I worded it right there. So the other thing you have to take into consideration before we get to number 3 is on this baby right here, you get a 4-piston front brake caliper, and on the rear it's a 2-piston caliper on the rear. It's a free-floating rotor. And why is that important? Well, as we stated earlier, there's about 100 pounds difference, and on the RoadKing you're just gonna get a 4-piston caliper front and back, so there's a little bit more extra brake power on the RoadKing, but you need it because the extra weight. Now, the lean angle for both of these motorcycles, the RoadKing has this thing beat by about 3 to 4 inches depending on which side you're leaning towards. Like, not inches, it's degrees. I keep messing that up. 3 to 4 degrees difference, which is, I think in my mind, is very significant, especially if you're going around twisties like, you know, Twisted Sisters or the Ozarks or anywhere where there's curvy roads. That's something that you need to take into consideration. So on the RoadKing, I think if you, the right lean angle is 32 and left is 31 degrees, somewhere around there, and this one is on the high 20s. So like I said, 3 to 4 degrees difference. And that's, to me, that's where it starts getting to where I start leaning towards the RoadKing. I'm really trying to be unbiased here, but let's move to number 3, because to me, this is the reason I own a touring model. And this is just not for RoadKings, it's any touring model. It's the forks. The way that the front end of the bike is set up. What do I mean? This baby right here has what's called leading front end, leading forks. I think I'm saying that right. What that means is that the forks are right in front of the neck. So you have the neck right here in the center, and then you have the forks on the sides, and the forks are in front of the center. What does that mean? Well, that means that there is what some technicians would call flop. So if you put this thing on the lift and you're trying to keep the steering straight, you just start pushing it, and the steering will fall either to the right or to the left. You would say, well, that seems like it would be normal, don't you think? That's how it should be on any motorcycle. No, not really. I mean, yes, for leading forks, that's a leading setup. On a touring bike such as the RoadKing, you have what's called a trailing setup, or trailing forks. Well, what does that mean? That means that the let's get out of the way here. That means that the forks are behind the neck. And why is that important? Because it's self-centering. If you put a RoadKing on the left, push the tire to the left or right, it's going to self-center itself. That's why they're easier to maneuver, and that's why Harley makes police units and a touring platform as a RoadKing or an FLHTP, which is kind of the old electric light style with a fairing and such. So that to me, that is why I own a touring model, and that's what I would pick a RoadKing. But we're not done yet, because I literally just recorded a video for Longhorn, which you can check that. I think they'll come the day after this comes out. You check out their channel, put it at the end of this video. But I just did a comparison between a Heritage Standard and a RoadKing Standard, and they're about $200 difference, literally. Of course, I think the RoadKing Standard ABS is optional, which is about a $800 deal there. But why am I even bringing that up? Well, the RoadKing Special is $3,000 more than this. And if you haven't already seen my video of comparing the two RoadKings, the Standard and the Special, and what you get with all of that, it becomes pretty apparent that you're paying for looks, the stretch saddlebags and all that extra stuff. Now you're also paying for the platform, which is a touring chassis. And I don't know. On this one, I'm not 100% sure if I had to pick between a Heritage and a RoadKing. If it wasn't for looks and the fact that it's a touring model, these two, I mean, there's $3,000 difference. That's the thing. There's $3,000 difference, and that is pretty hard. It just depends. If I will say this, on something like this, you're going on the highway and it gets windy, you're gonna get tossed around a lot easier on this than you would in a RoadKing. And it has a lot to do with the weight of the bike, the trailing forks versus the leading forks that you get on this, and the frame. Now the frame, this new softer frame is awesome. It's more rigid, therefore it handles amazingly, but it just can't beat those trailing forks. So I don't know if this video helps any of you guys. If it does, click like, and if you haven't already, subscribe. And thank you for following us on this channel. Thank you for all the guys that have been supporting us. And check us out on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, of course, subscribe, SoundCloud, and iTunes. So that's all I got for you guys today. I hope I answered all your questions. Let your comments below, and in the meantime, get on your Harley, ding, and get some wind therapy. Later. Thank you.